Welcome to Hildestone College's quick lesson series where our teachers give you some English language tips.
Hello and welcome back to Quick Lessons. Now today we're going to have a look at when you should use the word the. Okay, now this is just going to be an introduction. You will see exceptions to this, and because it's quite a big area there will be more than one video. Today we're just going to look at the situations where you need to use a the. Okay? So, what are those situations where you need to use the? Well, first of all, there's phrases like the best, the highest, the worst, the lowest, the most expensive, and so on. Those phrases are known as superlatives, and you might have studied them when you talked in class about comparing things. The second case where we use the is in phrases like the number of or the amount of something. And I'll give you some examples a little bit later. Thirdly, we use the when there's only one of something. We also use the when we're saying the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and so on. And we use the when we're talking about groups of islands or states. Now, let's see some examples. First up, we have only one of something, so when something is unique. And that applies when we're talking about our planet, the Earth, or the Sun, which is the only one in our galaxy, or indeed the Moon, which is the only moon that the Earth has. We also use it for the internet, because there's only one internet. And then also geographically, things like the Atlantic, the Pacific, the North Sea, the Indian Sea, and so on, because there's only one of each of those as well. And finally, for job titles, where there's only one. So the Prime Minister, the President of the United States, and so on. Moving on to groups of islands or states, since we just mentioned them, I'm sure some of these you already know. So, of course, we say the United States and the United Kingdom and the United Arab Emirates. But we also use the when we're talking about smaller islands. So off the coast of Scotland, for example, we have the Shetlands, the Orkneys and the Hebrides, which are all groups of islands. And in the south, off the coast of England, near Southampton, we have the Isle of Wight. Now, there has been a historical change here. We used to say the Ukraine and the Ivory Coast, and there are a few other examples like that. Nowadays, people from these countries prefer us to refer to their nations without using the, because it has a historical meaning which they've left behind. So now we say Ukraine, Ivory Coast, and so on. If you're looking at an older book, you might still see it written with the, but it's not generally considered correct today to use that. Okay? Next then, let's look at superlatives. You are easily the best student I've ever taught. And it's certainly true that Hildestone College has the nicest students. If you're recommending a grammar book to a friend, you might want to say, this book was the easiest to understand. And you can see that with all of those superlative forms, we use the. And we use the in order, as I said at the beginning. So when we're saying the first of something, the second, the third time, and so on. This is the first time that I've talked about the, at least on the internet. She was the second student to ask me about using the. That's why I decided to do the video. This is the third evening you've spent looking at YouTube. Maybe I should have put a higher number in there, do you think? Okay, let's move on now to the number or amount of something. You've probably seen these phrases before. It's certainly true now in November 2020 to say the number of students travelling to the UK has decreased. Students is a countable noun. You can have 1 student, 2 students, 3 students, and so on. So it's correct there to say the number of, because they can be counted. It's also a true statement to say the amount of teaching we do online has increased rapidly. Now, teaching is a concept. It's an uncountable noun. We can't count teaching, and that's why we use the word amount. Remember to use the with both phrases, though. Now, to help you remember this, I've got a word to help you. It's squog, which I think is nice and memorable. So if you can remember squog, you can remember when you need to use the word the in a phrase. Let's go through it together. In squog, the S stands for superlatives, the best, the worst, and so on. Q is for quantities, so the number of something or the amount of something. Remember to think whether it's a countable or uncountable noun though, so that you get the right one. U means unique things, the sun, the moon, the earth, the internet, and so on. O is for orders, the first, the second. And can you remember what G was? That's right, it was for groups, in this case of islands or states, the United States, the United Kingdom, and so on. So there you go. All you need to do is remember squog and you'll be fine. Now in my next videos, I'll be looking at the places where we do not use the, and then we'll have a look at some of the difficult cases. I know I've made this seem quite easy, but you wouldn't be watching this video if you could already do it. So don't worry, we will look at some of the more difficult cases as well. And you'll be fine. I'm confident that you'll be able to do this perfectly. Keep practicing, and I'll see you again soon for another quick lesson. Okay? Bye!
Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please click on the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and click the bell icon so that you don't miss the next video. That's it for this lesson. Until next time, goodbye.